Tonight, in this edition of the 6 p.m. primetime newscast on Equinox Television, Ghost Town Mass Back to School in the northwest and the southwest regions of Cameroon and in Douala and Yaoundé, as we are going to be seeing in this edition of the 6 p.m. newscast, the resumption of classes for the 2018-2019 school year was hitch-free in several cities or towns in the city of Douala and Yaoundé, and China pledges to disburse $60 billion to build and maintain African roads as well as infrastructures. Cameroon's President Paul Biya is taking part in the summit, which is equally focused on the preservation of peace and security within the African continent. It is taking place at the time when the state of roads in several parts of the country, as we are going to be seeing the situation in Lome of the Mongo division of Cameroon, is a veritable nightmare, particularly to commuters, plus a motorbike rider dies in a road accident which took place in Dedo, Douala this morning. We shall be right back with the details. Good evening to you, ladies and gentlemen. You are welcome back from the weekend. You are equally watching the 6 p.m. primetime newscast on Equinox Television. We begin right here with the start of the 2018-2019 school year, where hundreds of thousands of students and pupils went to school for the 2018-2019 school year across the national territory. Was a different atmosphere in the conflicted northwest and the southwest regions of Cameroon. We begin right away in Limbe, where the doors of all private schools, according to reports, were simply closed. Only a handful of students were present in some public schools. The Maimo visited some schools in the town of Limbe. He tells us more in the following report.
We are having exactly 7:30 by my watch here, and this is a half-mile vicinity. At this hour, during the day, during normal school hours, or during normal school days, it is a rush hour. You find students and people loitering around this area, struggling to meet up as they are rushing to school. But the situation here is totally different. Today is the first day of school reopening, yet the streets are empty. The streets are void of students and people, and even businesses are shut down. In fact, some sources are telling us that even school proprietors actually changed their program for school to reopen their various schools on Tuesday here in the city of Limbe, even though we are still to find out that. But that is the situation here in the city of Limbe, where all the streets are actually empty and void of people and students, be them from the government, be them from the private, secondary or primary. It is totally an empty street today, the first day of school in Limbe. Here at the Government High School Limbe, just like in Government Paligua High School Limbe and other government institutions, the principals prohibited us from taking images of students, saying that it is instruction from hierarchy. But nevertheless, they make us to understand that some few students actually turn out. In some classes, 3 students, 2, and in others 5 students in some classes. That is what we are made to understand by the principals of some of these institutions. Equally seen a good number of teachers in both the private, and of course the state-owned institution, who of course answered present. And many of them say that they were here to take their name on the official register for school resumption. There is Maimo, Equinox Television in Limbe.
And in the southwest region of Cameroon, still we remain in the town of Limbe, where several teachers were present on campus, but students and pupils were not available. The principal of the government high school in Limbe, Madame Lois Ikome, comes back to day 1 of back to school. She's equally going to be urging parents to send their children to school. Let's take a listen. She was speaking to the VC Maimo.
We've started, but obviously most of our students are not around, but we are hopeful that as the days go by, the students who are back home will have courage to come back to school, Most of my colleagues are around. They are around waiting for their students. It's a beautiful day. We started off as expected, early in the morning with an assembly and of some few students and teachers. And we are waiting for our students to come to school to be taught. And if I may make an appeal, I think that education is non-negotiable. It's one of the things that we cannot afford not to have. So I make a very strong appeal to parents, to students, that whatever is happening, if they have the opportunity to go to school, they should please go to school. they need it. We need it. We need to have educated people to take on the baton in this nation. And so that's my strong appeal. Whoever it is, don't stop children from going to school. Children need an education.
The question is, who is stopping students from going to school when parents themselves actually went to withdraw their students after having registered them in some schools in the northwest region of Cameroon? The turnout of students in that part of the country, precisely government secondary school, was timid on day one of school resumption, that was today. Apart from streets and markets that were practically empty, few students were in the schools which opened their doors, as we see in this report. Bamenda Town, September 3rd, 2018, on the day of school resumption. The streets are empty like any other ghost town Mondays. Only few persons and motorbikes are moving. Business premises are closed as a majority of traders opted to stay indoors. Back to school witnessed a timid turnout of students in 4 public secondary schools visited by a delegation from the Ministry of Secondary Education led by the Secretary General of the Ministry. At GBHS downtown, the teachers and administrative staff were present, but only 121 students, with majority dressed in assorted attires, showed up, according to administrative officials. At GBHS Basil, some classrooms saw 2 students attending lessons, a sharp contrast with the few number of students at Troisième Bilingue who answered present on day one in the same institution. The principal, while briefing the Secondary Education Minister's envoy, said that some lessons were suspended due to lack of students.
And so far, we have had 4 lessons. There would have been many more lessons, but for the fact that some of the classes were empty, so the teachers are in the staff room waiting, because I asked them not to go back, that we have to stay till the end of the day.
At GBHS Bamenda, the gate was opened with teaching staff present to get to work, but students were absent. The media could not have access into the classrooms, but journalists were told that several parents had to withdraw their kids after having registered. They cited security reasons. After supervising the free schools, including GBHS Bamenda NGAWE, the Director of Technical Education at the Ministry of Secondary Education admitted that turnout was timid and urged parents to send their children to school.
We are here in a team dispatched by the Minister to come monitor the effective takeover of the academic year. So the team led by the SG, Technical Advisor number 2 in the Ministry, and myself. We have been to 4 schools, and I must have said that even though the takeoff is timid, we are quite optimistic that as the days unfold, we are going to have more and more children coming to school. The parents here know the value of education. That's why the Northwest has an industry which is education, and that industry we must protect. So we are quite impressed with the turnout of the teachers. They are ready to do their work, and now we are calling on parents to send the children to school. So this is a moral obligation that the parents have.
2018-2019 academic year in the Northwest and Southwest regions is yet to effectively begin after day one was marked by ghost town and gunshots in several towns and villages. And just to know that officials at GBHS Bamenda NGAWE in the Northwest region of Cameroon indicated that some 300 students were present on campus today. Meantime, Buea was calm this Monday, but the streets and campuses were void of students and pupils. Locals simply stayed indoors. It was not the usual atmosphere back to school which characterized the town of Buea before the Anglophone crisis escalated in 2016. Even the transport sector was practically paralyzed. Several business premises, banks and private institutions were simply closed. Our correspondent in Buea so far described the day one of back to school in Buea as timid. That was the image of the chief town of the southwest region of Cameroon this 3rd of September 2018. And authorities of the government bilingual high school in Nyala, here in the country's economic capital, Douala, have so far adopted special measures to admit and accommodate students from the conflict-hit northwest and the southwest regions of Cameroon. Despite these and many other challenges plaguing the said institution, the kickoff of Back to School was hitch-free. Details with Mpomi Armstrong Sanda.
About 130 out of 150 teaching staff, 25 out of 25 administrative staff and an undisclosed number of students of government bilingual high school Nyala in Douala 3 subdivision answered present on day 1 of classes for the 2018-2019 academic year, according to the vice principal, Mr. Ngofo Laurent. Before 8 a.m. Monday, committed teachers and students were already in their classrooms, giving and receiving lessons respectively.
We had biology and physics this morning. Biology, the teacher told us the days we have to come to school, and he gave the scheme of work. And physics, the teacher came and presented herself, and she also told us the days and asked us some questions or some things to start the revision.
Among them were students coming from the crisis-hit north and southwest regions of the country.
I saw many of them crying.
Yes, they came. Now, as of now, we don't have any problem with them, because today what we wanted today is that they should be orderly, their uniforms, and they should go to class.
GBHS Nyala considered several factors and adopted special measures before admitting students running from the socio-political crisis in the 2 English-speaking regions of the country.
Yes, what we did was, when you come in, we have to study your case. We studied the cases individually. I advise some to repeat the class, not to go forward, because you cannot move forward when you did not learn the year before. Because some will say, I did just 1 term in Form 4. So I will say, you better repeat the Form 4. You cannot go to Form 5.
All was not a bed of roses in government bilingual high school Nyala on this first day of classes.
The problem of infrastructure first, and the work of the children. That is the things we take into consideration to accept children here. We are facing many challenges. When we are talking about those who came from, we need many things to make that the class goes on those. So we are going to verify the information.
Several students were not allowed to receive lessons because of either wrong attire or wrong admission procedure. Some parents unfortunately came to seek admission for their children or the list of official textbooks to acquire for their children on this day of classes. Some teachers who are supposed to be in possession of their timetable since the 27th of July, according to school administrators, came on the D-Day not knowing what, where and when to teach who. The school administrators on their part frowned at this attitude. They called on students, parents and teachers to be responsible each in their own domain for a successful academic year 2018-2019.
And hundreds of students were equally present in public and private schools in Bonaberi of the Douala 4 municipality. It was a hitch-free school resumption in that part of the city of Douala, as we see in the following report. Effective classes going on at GBHS Bonaberi of the Douala 4 municipality.
Being a good citizen must respect the rules and regulations, the duties and the responsibilities of.
On this day 1 of school resumption, scores of students are in class to receive lessons. The atmosphere is similar in other secondary schools like the Atlanta Bilingual Comprehensive High School Bonaberi.
We are set for the reopening. The timetables are set, the classrooms are set for the students to start classes. We are equally going on with admission for those who are still coming now. And we should say that those who have not yet registered their children, they should do that as soon as possible, because places are limited.
A good number of the students are from the conflict-hit northwest and southwest regions. School officials at Sejet said that parents have continued to troop in for admission.
We are certain that the staff will make a better result than what we had last year. As for the students, the influx is there. There's no gainsaying about it, that students from the south and southwest and northwest region are here. But like any beautiful woman who can only give what she has, will take those who can take, will admit those who can meet, and those who can't will stop. We want the school to remain with that same reference that it has had from creation.
At the new NSET college offering technical, general and commercial education, students turned out massively and ready to receive lessons.
This has started well on good footing. In fact, the new school year in New NSET, as I see, has fallen on better grounds. We are talented, we are competent, we are seasoned teachers here in Douala, and then we are experienced, have proven the worth that we're going to make it. As we have started this year, we're going to make it in official exams.
The kickoff was also hitch-free in private and public primary schools like the Gateway, Springboard, and the government primary school Bonaberry. As the kids began the 2018-2019 school year, they were advised to put in their best and uphold moral standards throughout the academic year. End of paper 1. And Mbanga in the Mongo Division, littoral region of Cameroon, is suffering the devastating consequences of the crisis in the northwest and the southwest regions of Cameroon. The transport sector and the economy of the said locality are highly affected with the closure of the Mbanga train station and the railway leading to Kumba in the southwest region of Cameroon. Details with Babla Jonathan.
Say no, they work around 6 months, and we did so for chômage. We know they work again.
The Mbanga train station transformed into a deserted area by the Anglophone crisis. As busy as a beehive yesterday, it is today abandoned to itself because trains can no longer move from here to Kumba in the crisis-stricken southwest region of Cameroon. The situation of this train station has paralyzed economic activities in Mbanga. Trains are not circulating and it is greatly affecting us. We were working thanks to the train station. Now that trains are not circulating, everything is grounded. Passengers often came from Kumba and we transported their luggages to small transport vehicles to earn some money.
Beaucoup de nos enfants sont devenus négatifs.
Many of our children have become wayward. They were working in the station for survival, but now there is no way to survive. The train station was the trade center of our town. Everywhere is now deserted. Even those who fled the crisis to come here can't buy because they don't have money. The economy of Mbanga is collapsing.
Ça fait entendre que l'économie de Mbanga est en baisse. Nous prions Dieu parce que c'est lui le tout-puissant. C'est lui qui connaît mieux que tout le monde.
Business persons and other inhabitants of Mbanga in the Mongo Division, littoral region of Cameroon, are now calling on God to intervene and put an end to the Anglophone crisis so that the economy of Mbanga can live again.
And briefly, before we take you to the second part of this newscast, as we announce in the headlines, a motorbike or a motor accident that occurred in the early hours of this morning at Bonateke Deido has claimed the life of a commercial motorbike rider. The passenger who sustained severe injuries has so far been hospitalized. He is currently receiving treatment in hospital now. The 2018 Africa-China Summit opened in Beijing, China today with the President of China, Xi Jinping, pledging to set a peace and security plan to help African countries preserve peace and security and their territorial integrity. President Paul Biya is the first African president to have arrived Beijing today on the 3rd of September 2018, where he was received by the President of China. It should be noted that the President of China has so far proposed to build Africa's roads and other infrastructures through his PEN project. He's going to be disbursing 60 billion francs CFA as a result. In just a few seconds from now, we take you to the second part of this newscast. We shall be right back. Thank you once again for joining us, televiewers. We are being joined tonight by an official principal of Central Bilingual College in Douala, Mr. NGAWE Basil. Good evening to you. Thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Thank you very much, Mimi, for inviting me.
We thank you so much for coming. The first preoccupation, of course, you are a school official, private school again for that matter, here in the city of Douala. How was back to school in your institution in particular and Douala in general?
I think it was better than last year, because the situation that we lived last year, there has been an improvement in security measures that has been taken. We saw a lot of police patrol around town to ensure that security is kept. And the enrollment of the students today witnessed a remarkable improvement, both in the English subsystem and the French subsystem of education. So
tell us about this problem that emerged prior to school resumption, the unavailability of school textbooks. How far are educationists, school officials gone with this problem? Has it been solved?
I think for now it has not been solved, because parents are still calling back on us that they cannot get the necessary textbooks that were officially prescribed by the Ministry of Secondary Education. And what they are telling us, what the shop owners are telling us, is that they ran out of stock, but they are hoping that in the days ahead, the stock will be supplied.
Any impact on your institution? How is it going to affect the 2018-2019 school year?
If this shortage of textbooks continue, I think it will affect the performances of students, because we will not be able to work with the textbooks prescribed by the ministry, and especially in some of the key subjects like where you cannot do without a textbook, English language, French, and mathematics, and to an extent literature in English. You will discover that the teachers will just be going to class without doing practically nothing.
Is there a particular measure that your institution is taking to solve the problem while waiting for the textbooks to be available?
For now, I think the first week is just orientation, revision, introduction, and to let the students know the program they are to cover for the academic year. Within this first week, we are hoping that teachers will do that to acquaint themselves with the students, acquaint themselves with the classes that they are called up to teach, till they give the students the workload for the academic year, and also try to find out what the students covered last year. Owing to the fact that, especially in the English subsystem, where you have a lot of our young brothers who are from the southwest and northwest regions of our country, we think that this exercise of revising or trying to bring to recall what the students did last year is very, very important, because from there we shall be able to get the level of these students for us to move with them in the course of the academic year.
There's always this problem of respect or non-respect of school program. At the end of the day, you find teachers doing catch-up classes to be able to meet up with the required program for the said academic year. Tell us how significant first term is to the education community in Cameroon.
I think first term covers, I would say, 50% of the workload that is supposed to be carried out in an academic year, because third term is virtually non-existing. Because I would say second term carries 40% and third term just 10%. So within the first term, if the teachers are not able to cover up 50% of the workload, you discover that those teachers will be bound to be calling on catch-up classes. And what we're appealing on teachers, and especially the parents, is to start sending the students to school and the pupil to school on day one. They should not say that it is time. And it is because we are also waiting for them. Most of the parents who are not yet prepared.
An indication that it was not 100% effective.
Effective.
Maybe several students are still waiting.
Several students are still, yes. Like in most schools, I would say that the enrollment that most schools recorded today is not more than 70% of their normal enrollment. Some schools have even gone below their 50% of their enrollment that they are supposed to record for the academic year.
And about the electronic method of getting one registered students, especially in the secondary school, you are equally an official of the Central Bilingual College, which is a secondary school. It has been introduced in the secondary education sector, public to be more precise, by the Minister of Secondary Education. How do you appreciate this innovation?
I think it's a good innovation, but I will say that it is sad to say that our administrators don't master the terrain in which they are operating. 60% of the schools that are operating in Cameroon are in the rural communities, and those rural communities don't have banks.
They won't be able to adapt.
What will they be? How will those rural communities be moving? I take, for instance, those schools that are located in the village. Should parents pay transport of 2,000 or 5,000 to and fro to go and pay a school fees of about 25,000 francs? Is that logical? Those are some of the bottlenecks that are going along with it.
It is an innovation that might be workable in the long run. But for now, what could really be done to make it national or solve this problem you're raising?
A lot of things need to be done, which the minister who took this decision did not get into. First, our rural communities are inaccessible. If you look at the nature of roads, for those parents, I will take for instance, for a parent who is in one of the rural village in Mundemba,
will be
difficult. He can pay maybe 6,000 francs only to go and register a student, and coming back again paying 6,000 francs to go and pay school fees for 20,000 francs. So you discover that to go and pay school fees for 20,000 francs, you have spent an additional 12,000. And those students, according to the text, are not supposed to be in class without those students being registered. So what becomes of those parents who will not have the means for means of transportation? Those are some of the bottlenecks that are going along with this innovation. In cities like Douala, Yaoundé, Bafoussam, it will work very effectively. So in the course of taking this type of decisions, they should try to look at the terrain in which Cameroon is operating.
It can be adapted in all the village and the communities in Cameroon. Mr. Basil, thank you so much for joining us tonight on Talking Point. We hope to have you some other time again.
Thank you very much, Mimi, for inviting me.
Thank you once again.
The pleasure is mine.
Thank you for your time. To our viewers, it was equally a pleasure having with us in this edition of the 6 p.m. primetime newscast on Equinox Television. Wishing you a blessed day in the company of our programs. Until we meet again, goodbye.